Pursintajj Zoo. Dr. Ben Pursintajj had managed the family zoo for 60 of his 80 years, or 75% of his life. Thanks to his lifelong involvement with animals, he was well known for his passion to help those that had been injured in the wild. In fact, he was aboard a plane this Saturday morning bound for Africa, where he was to return a rescued hippopotamus to her herd. It was just about the time that Dr. Pursintajj's plane lifted off the runway at the airport that the zoo's staff discovered he hadn't scheduled anyone to feed the herbivores. It started just like any other Saturday at the Pursintajj Zoo. Kids were streaming in to watch the morning feedings and ride the carousel. Algebraic and equation had been coming to the Pursintajj Zoo since they were born in the Fraction Hospital near the base of the famous Numor-Haytor mountain range. The boys stopped by the zoo every day on their way home from school and were always there on Saturdays while the zookeepers fed the animals. They especially enjoyed watching the head zookeeper, Ray Shows, working with the big cats. But this Saturday morning, something was amiss. Dr. Ben had left for Africa and forgot to schedule anyone to feed the herbivores. What were they going to do? That Saturday morning, Calculate was deep into determining how much feed they needed to order for the animals next month. Suddenly, Ray burst in the front door and exclaimed, "Cal, what are we going to do about the herbivores? Dr. Ben left and didn't get anyone to feed them." At just that moment, Al and EQ were passing by the office and said, "Hey, we're here every Saturday and have watched Dr. Ben feed for a long time. Can we do the feeding today?" Cal looked unsure, but Ray said, "I am busy all day with the new tiger cubs, so you look like our only option. Are you sure you can handle it?" "As sure as my name is Algebraic. I am certain that EQ and I can determine how much of which feed to give what animals and where," proclaimed Al. "Well, okay. Cal, do you have the feeding schedule? And can you help them today?" asked Ray. Distractedly, Cal said, "I have got to get this feed order sent in by noon, and I have just started, so I don't have time to spare. But Callie Brazian, my sister's 11-year-old daughter, is around here somewhere. She can show you where the feeding schedule is." "Callie," he yelled. "Yes, Uncal," she responded, entering through the storeroom doors, followed by a dashing Larry the Lemur. Cal then queried Callie, "You remember Al and EQ, don't you? They will be feeding the herbivores for Dr. Ben today, and we need you to help them." "Yahoo! Can I calibrate the scale?" asked Callie Brazian. So off the three friends headed to the feed barn, not knowing what lay ahead for them. All the animals were to be given mixtures of many different kinds of feed, and the only values listed were the total amount to feed and the percentages of each type in that mixture. How were they supposed to figure out how much of each feed to add to the mixture? After reading the instructions a second time, they once again stared at each other, speechless. Suddenly, an idea formed in EQ's head. 100% divided by 10 pounds is 10% per pound. Callie and Al gazed at EQ, first wondering where that came from, and then realizing that it was a breakthrough that they needed. "So now we measure a pound for every 10% and then put it all in one big bucket," offered Al. "Okay, let's go to it," exclaimed Callie. After feeding the birds, okapi, and zebras in habitats 202 and 404, it was now on to habitat number 505, the most difficult and the most dangerous. Dr. Ben was a progressive zookeeper who was experimenting by allowing giraffes, elephants, hippopotami, and Cape buffalo to roam freely in a single shared habitat. The arrangement was similar to their existence on the Serengeti Plain in Africa and yielded significant learning opportunities in the study of species interaction. The challenges for the kids were that the sheer volume of food required multiple trips to the habitat. These animals were large, and the beasts became much more animated when their food appeared. This was Al's favorite exhibit at the zoo, so he knew the strategy for this feeding. But before he could start explaining what to do, Callie shared an unexpected insight. Cape buffalo make up 40% of the population, so you need to do something to deal with them first, because they are also the most aggressive. And the giraffes make up 24% and are large, so you should get them out of the way quickly too. Al and EQ stared at her with surprise. Finally, EQ said, "How did you calculate those percentages so fast in your head?" Oh, that was easy, said Callie. Since there are 25 animals, you multiply that by 4 to get 100. And since percentage is a measurement based on 100, then you can just multiply the quantity of each species by 4 to get the percent. Wow, said EQ. Okay, good points, affirmed Algae Break. Those are all covered in my plan. Al knew the feeding requirements by heart from watching Dr. Ben, but checked the board just to be sure. After confirming the needs, he explained the plan. First, let's load all the hay and pellets that we can pull on the wagon and stack it by the pen. Then EQ and I will come back for the second load while Callie climbs the stairs to the special giraffe food storage area and moves their food to the treetop feeders. Then EQ and I return with the second load and spread 25% of the total alfalfa pellets over on the right side of the pen to attract the Cape buffalo. With the giraffes and Cape buffalo focused on eating, we can then go in and spread the hay in the center for the elephants and hippos. Finally, when we finish that, we can safely spread the other 75% of the alfalfa pellets, the crimped oats, and the dried fruit and carrots on the left side of the pen. Any questions? How many bags is 25% of the pellets? Asked EQ. Callie responded quickly. The directions say to feed 4 bags, so each bag represents 25%. That means that you start by spreading just 1 bag. Wow, it scares me how fast you do that, remarked EQ. Amazingly, it all worked just as Al had planned, and thus the herbivore feeding was complete. Callie even got the bonus of scratching a giraffe's ear. She was surprised at how rough the hair was. The soon-to-be junior zookeepers burst through the front doors of the management office and told anyone that would listen, and some that wouldn't, about their morning. Then Calculate asked his niece Calibration, "And how much of the work did you do, young lady?" Her response reflected the team pride that she had built that day with Al and EQ. She proudly exclaimed, "We are a team, Uncle Cal, so we all did 33 1/3%."